Hello and welcome back to the Day Luna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today we are recording a solo episode that's just all about human design. We wanted to get back to some of the deeper layers in human design and some of the foundational layers that people tend to not talk about or skip over, but they're so important and also just fucking fascinating. Um, we have been taking time off the last month and a half, the last 6 weeks, and it's been awesome, but also so challenging as projectors. I think that the more space that I give myself, the more space I have to unearth some shit that's like just room, like beneath the surface, that's like kind of like running in the background that I don't have time to really look at the mechanics of. But this space has given me, like, first thing that I noticed was how uncomfortable I am with my undefined root and my undefined head with just being. How I feel this, like, okay, but what am I doing? What am I working on? And it's so funny in this time, if you've been listening to past episodes, I've been really focused on detoxing and working on my health. And I've been doing this Prime Master protocol that Dr. Cleopatra, who was on one of our other episodes, came on. I've been doing that with her. And every week I've been drawing a oracle card from Rebecca Campbell's Healing Waters deck. And I talked about this on our Instagram. And every single week I like shuffle the deck crazy and I knock on it. I do all my rituals and then I pull a card. And every single week it's been the Healing Lagoon that I pulled. That's like, relax, rejuvenate, rest, heal. It's safe to stop. I'm like, okay, but like, what am I doing? And that's been like the first thing that's come up is, even when I'm not doing, I'm constantly thinking, like, what am I doing though in this time? Like, what's the point? Where am I going? Where's this headed? All of that pressure to like have my shit figured out or be worked on. I'm allowing myself to observe that versus feeling like something's wrong with me or something's bad or this is something that I need to fix, but instead just observing, oh, this is uncomfortable in my body and this is where this is coming from. And this is kind of pulling this up. And in that, so many other deeper things have been coming to the surface of like my mother wound and like my need for something to always be wrong with my health. That's something that I really want to talk about maybe in another episode. But um it's just been wild. It's been a wild, uneventful last few weeks. Like, how is that possible? But that's the truth.
Wow. Yeah. I know it's really interesting having this little bit of space and kind of some time off. I have a defined root and a defined head. So we are polarized on that and
Always.
always polarized, even though we're so similar, right? We're both 2-4 projectors, but we have so many polarized things also in our charts, that being one of them. And in general, I do really resonate with having a defined root and a defined head. Like I'm on my own schedule with that pressure, that mental pressure, and that pressure to do, pressure to create, right? And however, something that I really observed too is that I had this story in my head that in order to be successful or good, like doing well, you need to be busy. And that goes against being a projector. That goes against being a 2-4 with that two, that hermit side and needing that space. And in this space, it's like it's more comfortable. I have a better sense of self worth with undefined ego and heart if I'm busy. Right. And just knowing like you can be successful and ease. And these are things that are basic projector things that we talk about all the time, but it's like you
Yeah.
discover them on deeper and deeper layers of conditioning, deeper and deeper layers of embodiment. Like if I look at my life now compared to what my life looked like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, it's crazy, right? I give myself so much more space to be a projector for alone time, for easy mornings without pressuring myself. I give myself permission to not go on the trip with my friends or to stay in because I'm tired or to take a nap and lay down. Like my life has completely changed in having that awareness. And still, I noticed this deep like
Yeah.
story that was underneath all of that of like in my work, if I'm not busy and rushing, then my success is going to leave me. And that's not the projector way, but just discovering that on a new, more embodied level. How can I really trust the success that is my birthright as a projector and as who I am as a part of my purpose? So for me, it's been really challenging myself to enjoy the ease and to trust with a capital T. And that trust in life and in my path and in my success is definitely one of the biggest things that I've been working on healing in the last several years. Is like,
Yeah.
I trust myself, like Dana, my ability to like, drive my car and like figure something out. I trust myself. I trust my friends. I trust my partner. But I've struggled with trusting life, and specifically my life, my path and my success, like overall. That's been something that I've had a fear around. Like, do I have to hustle and bustle? And like, if I don't, keep the ball up every single second, like it's going to drop and no one is going to be there
Yeah.
to support me. That's been a story that I've had. So this summer, it's like
Wow.
letting the ball drop and then watching it float, watching it just float,
Yeah.
watching life like allow you to float. And then can you enjoy that instead of feeling like, it needs to be scary or you need to jump back in there?
And it's so interesting how like your trauma from being a child and like different things that you've experienced or that we've all, experienced. We all have traumas from our childhood and our nervous system's fucked up in a lot of like everyone, right?
Yeah, pretty much
um
everyone.
Pretty much everyone has something that they can be working on to like to what though? Right? It's like what's the goal? Like what is
Yeah.
the goal? And that to me has been coming up with like why are you working on these things? And of course like for alignment, right? For more ease, for more of your self theme, whatever that might be, for more connection and love and joy and happiness. But when it's here, you to actually enjoy it and to not just be
Yes.
like, well, what am I working on next? And what am I like
Yeah.
striving for? And I can't set the ball down. I can't just enjoy
Right.
this because I have to constantly be striving and doing and creating and keeping. And like, I can't set the ball down because my trauma or my conditioning, um, the subconscious energetics or mechanics underneath what I'm doing is coming from a place of pain or fear or um that's like pushing that forward. One thing I've really been observing is the energetics, like everything being energy, right? And how we create our reality based off of our thoughts and our beliefs, and how we are this like God within the matrix, if you will, constantly creating the reality around us. I mean, that's something that we talk about a lot on this podcast. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm always thinking about that. And I'm like, okay, if I'm the God of my matrix, like, and what are all the things that I want? Like, why can't I just like literally blink and then it's here? Like, nothing's real. How do I just literally transform the form that's in front of me? And
Hmm.
so I'm constantly always thinking about that. And I'm like, okay, well, my beliefs are creating this. So what are my beliefs and what's underneath my beliefs that I'm not even knowing or like consciously aware of? And that's been coming up a lot with my health because this month I've been focusing on my health. And like a few episodes ago, we had someone on talking about your self concept, like your belief about yourself. And
Hmm.
she mentioned, and I was kind of bringing up with my health, like something's always wrong with my health. And I'm always working on something with my gut or with my skin or with my like genetics or with like literally my health. And for you, Dana, there's like never anything that's like wrong. And what I've discovered in this last month is my it's woven into the same thing you're talking about with work and never letting the ball drop, and like if you don't make shit happen nothing will happen and all of that. It's all connected for me, and it stems from this place of like from a child feeling like I have to make my life so much better than it is. Like I have to be the one to get myself out of this and like strive to completely change my life and make it happen. And I did, and something that I really value about myself. So that's a belief. that I have that you have to strive, and that's how you make your life better. So all the good things that I want in my life aren't going to happen unless I make it happen. Like that is a belief that is crafting my reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then also a deep down belief that I've now realized, like a subconscious energetics, is this feeling of like love isn't a guarantee for me. Like my mother didn't, it wasn't a guarantee that she loved me. And it wasn't something that, like, you know, in all of our conditioning and stories in our media, it's like the loving mother, the mama bear, the like, it's always like the fathers that are shitty. And feeling like love isn't a guarantee. And I grew up at my friends' houses and it was like I had to strive, like I had to be extra lovable to literally live as a guest in someone's house. Like you can't be like a shitty guest. They're not going to let you stay. You can't just be like a child. You have to be like the star student, the star child. Like you have to earn love. And then they'll treat you like your child. And so what I'm noticing is that I'm seeking something to be wrong with my health so that way other people are worried about me like a mother worries about their child. Like
Mm.
a feeling of like I want my mommy. Like when
Mm-hmm.
something's wrong with you and you call your mom and you're like, "Mom, I'm sick. What do I do?" Like I want that with other people's parents, and I'm subconsciously finding things to be wrong so that way I can tell my friends or I can tell my partner or I can tell my in-laws like I don't know, something's wrong. I think something's like what should I do? And I'm creating very real things that are actually physically wrong. I'm creating my physical reality based from a deep rooted I want my mommy energy. And I just like had this realization where I'm
Whoa.
like this is something that um like why I want my dream house so that way I can have the feeling of like my mommy's proud of me and like other people's parents are and like I've earned so much love because they want to be in my home with me and they feel safe in my like it's all coming from the same rooted place with my health with everything. And like I don't know, I said I was going to save this for another podcast. I probably should have, but here we are, G centers let loose. um but it my point is that life is confusing. We're all in gate 64 right now, and we're in the gate of confusion and diving into confusing ass things. But one thing that I'm really realizing is like the connecting thread between all of it, and like no one else can unearth that for you. Like no one
Mm.
else can be like, this is what you work on and this is what's wrong. Like so many people and myself included go through life of like I have this disease or I have this belief about my life or about who I am, about what works for me or what doesn't. And I'm not going to dig any deeper. I'm just going to say that and have that story and cling on to it. Even with human design, I'm a projector, so I'm just not like, and then you stay there and it's like, okay, well, digging deeper, like, what are the deeper mechanics underneath it? And like that creates a new what you discover there creates a new belief for you to actually have freedom from that thing, because now the next time you get sick you're not just like, oh my god, I'm always sick, and now you're perpetuating that belief and creating your reality. You're then saying, oh, I want my mommy. Okay, what can I do to be my own mom right now? What can I do to nurture my inner child? What can I do to make myself feel like I'm not alone? And that then it's like liberating that pattern versus just like perpetuating it and recycling it until you fucking die and come back in your next life and do it again and maybe heal it. Like I'm just
Yeah.
really observing all of that right now, and it's exciting but also like Damn. You know what I
I
mean?
thought I was done with this deconditioning shit, and here we go.
Exactly.
Well, another theme I'm hearing, first of all, that's freaking deep. Thank you for sharing that. That's really illuminating and honest. And I really appreciate you even just getting to that honesty within yourself because it's so hard to do. You know what I
And
mean?
like at the beginning of this podcast.
Like, I'm not going to share this, but okay, starting out with this episode. Um, but another theme I'm hearing you say in this is manifesting all of these things because we want something from someone else or from some outside source. And then once we have awareness of that, we learn how to give ourselves that thing that we were seeking from outside sources within. So it is actually that same journey of like, victimhood being like other people aren't doing it for me, or I need this from other people, or I'm doing these things for other people to
Or
give this
like
to me
just
first.
sucks. Like sucks to
Yeah.
suck. That
Right. So but
feeling.
the journey from the shift from seeking it externally to giving it to yourself internally is the journey from victimhood to empowerment. It's the journey
Yeah.
from outer authority and, not self into alignment and becoming your own inner authority. It's that
Yes.
same great shift, right? The huge theme that's behind all things, but we have to go down our unique rabbit hole path to find that venue that's been blocking us from that in whatever that way that
Yeah.
is.
And while at the same time, right, the yin and yang of it all, which we're going to get into yin and yang in a minute, but the yin and yang of it all, of like being your own inner authority and like digging into it, like you were just saying, and taking your power back, going from victimhood to empowerment and noticing the places where you are enjoying victimhood, which, side note, anywhere you feel resentment, anywhere that you see in your life and you're like, you see someone and you're like, must be nice, or you see someone and you're like, well, they always had it easy, or they had rich parents, or, literally anywhere that you're like, they have no idea what it's like to be single for this amount of years. Like anywhere that you feel that resentment come in, it's like, oh, that is a place that is something that I want. And the more that I
Yeah.
resent it or judge it, I'm pushing it farther because I'm energetically saying that's bad and I don't want it. But actually, that's something that you want. So noticing that and turning yourself from victimhood to empowerment, that's like the first thing I would always say. Like, where are you having resentment? Signpost, turn yourself from victimhood to empowerment. And then with the yin and yang, what I'm talking about here is with your own empowerment, inner authority, there's that. And opposite side of life is carrying you. You are always infinitely supported by life, by the universe, by your guides, by synchronicities, by being in contact with other people. Like, yes, it is up to you to be empowered and to empower yourself and to look at your own shit and take accountability and be authentic and all the things. That is your journey. But also, you are being carried by life. And can you set the ball down and let it float? Can you feel yourself being supported and carried without having to constantly be doing and working and striving and healing and all the fucking things? There's the two sides, and you have balance when you have both, which I feel like that's been a big theme for you this month, has been like leaning into trusting the universe and
Yeah.
life, that it's got your fucking back.
Yeah. 100%. And that's been a theme in my last like many years, but I just been feeling it really come to the surface this month. Because I've been noticing those like uncomfortableness coming up of like, can I trust, right? Trust with a capital T. And that's like a lifelong theme for me, something that I
Me too.
explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like feeling safe, right? Like emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, feeling safe enough to trust. And it's such a, I think trust, everything boils down in my mind to either love or fear, like the opposite of love. And
Yeah.
trust is a part of love. And
Yeah.
feeling that in the universe and feeling that in life, I think is so important. And when something, I put in quotes, bad happens to us or unexpected happens to us, we jump off the trust ship immediately. We're like, oh, the universe hates me. All of this is bullshit. Like, I'm not aligned. Like, at least I do, jump off immediately. The first thing that seems bad, I put in quotes, or the first thing that didn't go exactly the way that you wanted it to, or you thought it would, it's like, okay, now I no longer trust life until life proves to me that it's trustworthy. And
Yeah.
I was telling you this story about this bumblebee that I found at the beach, and it was like struggling. It seemed like it was like delusional and gonna die soon. And I was like, oh my gosh, this bumblebee. So I picked up a stick and I tried to get it to stand on my stick so I could bring it to a flower so that it could feed off of a flower. And I like looked around and there's hardly any flowers, but I saw one like flower further away. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get on the stick and I'm going to bring it to that flower and I'm going to save its life right now. And I'm trying to get this bumblebee to get on the stick and it's freaking out. Like it thinks I'm attacking it and it's like trying to attack me back and like won't get on the stick. And I'm like, get on the stick. I'm saving your life right now and giving you the best shortcut of all time because I love you. So get on the fucking stick. And the bumblebee just like fought me and fought me and fought me. And then finally I was like, all right, fine. And it got on the stick and I brought it to the flower, put it right into the flower. It immediately started eating from the flower and like coming back to life there. And I had this
Wow.
epiphany moment that I'm the bumblebee and life slash God slash the universe slash my spirit guides is the person trying to get me on the stick. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't want this sharp, scary stick. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you think that this stick is like trying
Like,
to
I
hurt you,
know what
but
I'm doing. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to struggle through this, but I got myself. And life is
but
like,
really
bitch.
get on the stick. Like I'm giving you the best shortcut. So in the moment, it's like you don't realize that the thing that was a misfortune or a twist in the road or something different than what you thought you wanted or what you thought you were doing is sometimes life giving you this amazing opportunity, this amazing shortcut to exactly what you need. It was just in a different way than your controlling mind thought it would go.
Yeah.
And
And like
can you
surrendering, like trusting.
that's hard to do because, on the other hand, it is up to us to steer our ship. It is up to us to make decisions. It is up to us to do the healing because no one's going to do it for you. So it's
Yeah.
this balance of where are the places where I assert my power and my empowerment, and where are the places that I get on the fucking stick, even if I don't want the stick, because I trust that life is helping me, life is supporting me, life is giving me this incredible cosmic shortcut if I can trust with that capital T and trust that everything that comes to me with love and
Yes.
support. And even if it seems like a scary thing or a painful thing or a tragic thing, and it is that thing, those are real emotions or real frequencies, it's still a blessing of life supporting me that I can trust.
Yeah. You can trust. And I think something that I've been noticing that when you are breaking a cycle and you are um, leaning into trust and you are like unearthing these things and like being empowered, I will notice my like subconscious fear want to come in and like test the universe, like
Mm.
test life and be like, is
Is
this
it real?
actually safe? Like, is
Yeah,
this actually real? And it's something that sabotages me and then gets me
totally.
back into the cycle where, like, with this example with my health, like, I will literally feel so loved and feel so healthy and feel so good, and then I'll notice one thing's wrong, and then I'll tell like Brian's mom, for example, like, I think I like something is wrong. And like, I'm like, I don't consciously say it because I'm thinking this. It's like the energetics underneath I'm realizing is me feeling like, are you worried? Like, are you worried? Do you actually care? Like, how worried are you? Like, if I was your real child, you would be like calling doctors right now, but you're not for me. Like, I want my mommy. That's like my phrase for this healing that I'm doing. And I notice, and I think that that's an example of like ways that we sabotage ourselves to then like I'm like proving the opposite of what I want, and then now I'm seeing it's like then and now I'm more sick because I'm like trying to prove the opposite of what I want. So my point in saying that is like while you are trusting and getting on the stick, don't be like, well, I'm gonna go stand on the edge. And if you drop me, then you are life hates me. It's
Because
like,
that's
bitch,
not
just get
trust.
on the stick.
That's
Like,
not trust and unconditional love.
exactly.
It's like a weary, half-assed, like, okay, I'm getting on, but I'm also like one step to
And
you
that's a
taking
lot of
me
times
off.
with fear, what it is. Like, we are like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to lean into this, but it's still scary. So I'm going to hold on with one hand. And then if any turbulence comes on, I'm going to fucking fall off. And then I'm going to blame you. It's like, bitch, you could have held
Yeah.
on with both hands. Like,
Right.
there's no, it's always you, but then it's also always like trusting everything's got you. And that's the yin and yang. So let's talk about yin and yang. Let's talk about polarization and why we're super polarized beings and why we even exist because of the consciousness crystals and how we're all here to be mentally passengers.
Yeah. And at the end of this episode, I want to share some tips with you all on how to make sure you're embodying passenger consciousness, which is a huge goal in human design. But in order to talk about passenger consciousness and what that means, we have to talk about all the stuff that Shayna just talked about with the yin and yang and the polarization and the crystals of consciousness and all of that. So we want to tell you a little story about the conception of the universe from the voice of human design. And we want to ask you to just hear it like a story because I think it's so fascinating and so beautiful. And if you can just be on the ride as a story, you can feel in your body where things resonate, where things might raise questions for you. So, the story of the conception of the universe, or like the Big Bang from the voice, is that in the beginning, there is this cosmic egg, this yin egg, and that has this crystalline structure that contains all like the material parts of the universe, like the physical parts. And then there is this yang seed, right? Think of like an egg and a sperm, the seed being this yang energy that has this energy also with a crystalline structure. And when the cosmic egg, the yin and the yang come together, it's the Big Bang. And there's this, shattering of all of this crystalline structure that comes together and fuses and makes this infinite amount of crystals of consciousness that contain the original consciousness from the yin and the yang, egg and seed. So all things in the universe start from that expansion, from that Big Bang, right? And these crystals of consciousness, there's an infinite amount that all are this crystalline structure that contain this original consciousness, go out into the universe and create everything that exists in our universe. And the voice says that this was not actually the birth of our universe. This is the conception. And that as all of the universe expands from that original point, as all consciousness expands and travels through those crystals of consciousness, we are like a fetus. The entire universe is like one fetus growing in the womb. And at one point, what happens after a fetus grows in the womb is birth. And that's a point that we have yet to reach. So that I just wanted to tell that story because the first time that I read it, my jaw was hanging open because I just felt like yes, 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 yes. That's all I could feel. And the cells in my body were saying yes. And obviously the Big Bang is like the scientific theory that is, prominent right now in science.
It was like a Big Bang. Like a big getting down bang.
But I mean,
between
of course,
the yin and the yang created conception. And these crystals of consciousness that shattered infinitely throughout are what create what we experience as the universe and life. And it's like reality, if you will, for us, whatever that means. That's this conception that we're all in. And maybe we're just little cells within this fetus, right? We all have our own little fucking jobs.
And it's true. And when we talk about trusting life, like trusting the universe, I think that coming back to this story of oneness, like in whatever form you enjoy to think about it, but thinking about us all as cells in this fetus and this like cosmic womb expanding in the universe, it's such a safe and cozy feeling. And you feel like, well, if I'm a part of that, I'm fine. You know what I mean? And I think that's it's soothing for me to think about that sacred oneness and just being a part of that and coming home to that, like sort of in an embodied cellular way
we're all
every day.
A part of the birth of consciousness. Like we haven't experienced the birth of consciousness yet. We've experienced the conception of consciousness and the growth of consciousness. And Ra really talks about our purpose here is to contribute to the collective consciousness. That's what your purpose is. Your awareness, your authority, your mechanical alignment energetically within this cosmic womb is the ahas, the downloads, the awareness that you receive through your experience in this cosmic womb
Your individual.
contributes. Yes, your individual awareness contributes to the collective consciousness, which I believe will then be the birth of consciousness in, if you really fucking zoom out, like a giant baby, like going into like some other world. But then that same potential we all have within our bodies because we were all, born and are conscious beings, and we all have, well, no, we don't all have wombs, but we were all born from a womb, and those same mechanics are taking place at such a like micro level in our bodies. So it's all connected, but I do really think that it's so helpful to think of this cosmic womb and that your place within it, and that
Mm-hmm.
the anytime that you have a thought, you're contributing to the collective consciousness. Anytime that you use your voice to voice the thought or that aha or that awareness that you have that only comes through being your own authority, that is contributing to the collective awareness that we all are a part of.
And every breath you take, I mean, every
Yeah.
breath you take, just being you in this facet is contributing. The beingness of who you are is contributing. And
Yes.
when we talk about these crystals of consciousness, these crystal consciousnesses are in all things, including you. And that this kind of gets into the mechanics of our design and how we are held in this 3D reality, which I also think this is so fascinating because us being an individual is something that can only be experienced on this plane because of these mechanics, because really we're all this one consciousness, we're all this one original light source, right? But you're getting this experience of your uniqueness as you in this human body right now. We are a spiritual being having this human experience, and the crystals of consciousness in your personality crystal and your design crystal and your magnetic monopole really show us how we are meant to be this human experience and how the mechanics and the energy of how it holds us in place in this reality. So we have, when we get our design, this is how we get our design. When you're born, your personality crystal is imprinted with the neutrino stream, but you get your design about 3 months before you're born. And that's printed by the neutrino stream there. So we have our personality and our design in our human design chart. And if you're looking at your human design chart, you'll see on the right-hand side a column that says personality. You'll see all your gates there. On the left-hand side of your chart, you'll see a column that says design and all of your gates there. And then if you're looking in your body graph, anything that's in black is part of your personality. Anything that's in red is part of your design or like your unconscious traits in your body or in your vehicle. Anything that's red and black is in both. So we can see right there on our chart where this personality and design energy comes from. But the mechanics of this in our body comes from the crystals of consciousness, right? We have our design crystal that's imprinted with that neutrino stream that makes that part of our design. That's our design. And that sits right in your third eye, like right in between your brow bones and your ajna. And this design crystal manifests your biogenetics into physical form. This design crystal represents your vehicle, your body, the characteristics and traits that your vehicle, I think of it as like your body being a car moving through this life, all comes from the imprints in that design crystal. And then we have
Well, and I think it's really helpful to think of your design crystal as what's making your body versus someone else's, or what's making a dog. A dog has a design crystal that makes it a dog, and you have a design crystal that makes you a human with brown hair and green eyes and these specific genetics. The design is your body. It's the vehicle or the type of physical entity you came here to be in this life. So a brick has a design crystal, a blade of grass does. Like literally, there's infinite design crystals
it's
everywhere.
the
It's
the
the
world of form.
the world of form. Yes. So your design crystal is what's making you in this physical form, your body.
Yeah. And then we have our personality crystal and our personality. So our design crystal has the original aspects of the yin, right? The form, the cosmic egg. And then the personality crystal has the original aspects of the yang seed. And this personality crystal sits right above our scalp, right? In our head center. And this personality crystal is who we think we are, the consciousness that we can sense and that we identify with. This is the personality crystal that gets imprinted by the neutrino stream the moment that you're born. And this personality crystal is not here to drive your life. It's here to be passenger consciousness. That is the goal, right? And because of our past evolution in humanity, we've been so conditioned to believe that our mind is here to be the driver because for a long time, that's what served our evolution. But we are changing, we are spiritually evolving. And our personality crystal is now here to be the passenger in the vehicle. Your design crystal is the vehicle. Your personality crystal is the passenger. It's here to sit back in that chair and enjoy the ride, enjoy the movie, enjoy the journey. But it's so challenging because of all of our conditioning and our not self to allow our personality to be that passenger and to sit back and to not try to grab the wheel and drive the car because that personality crystal no longer has the information to know where you're going, right? There's a third party driver, and that is your magnetic monopole. This magnet that exists in our G center, in our physical sternum, this magnet that's holding these two crystals together, your personality crystal and your design crystal, together as one, as a mystical union, because you are both of those things together. And your magnetic monopole holds them in this time and space. It also holds us here in this dimension, in this plane, in this reality where we get to experience this illusion of individualism. And our magnetic monopole, just as it sounds, is a magnet that is like this sacred GPS. This is the driver of your vehicle. And when we follow our strategy and authority, what we're really doing is training our mind, our passenger consciousness to be that passenger and really allowing the vehicle to be driven by this magnetic force that knows your geometry, that knows your soul's plan, that knows your place in the infinite flow of all life.
Yes. So your personality crystal right above your head, this is your mind. This is you that you think you are. It's you. You're how you analyze, how you think, how you observe, how you process, how you judge, how you create. Like all of that is you. And that energy, that personality crystal of observing and thinking and all of that could be inside a design of a dog where you're observing and processing and thinking with all of these different gifts, or inside of, a cat, but it's inside of your design that you chose, that personality chose in this life in to be this human that you are. And so really observing like, okay, I'm in my vehicle, I'm in my design, and my personality crystal is thinking and it's processing and it's judging and it's labeling and it's creating and it's all the fucking things. But I have this magnet that is pulling me and propelling me down my path towards my my personal authentic alignment based on my energetics. So obviously, we're always going to say lean into your strategy and authority because that's going to naturally train your mind, this personality, to just observe and let your vehicle be driven by your magnetism with your unique energetics. That's the most important thing in human design. You've heard us say it a million times, and that's why. So the more that we can know, like, okay, I have all these thoughts, I have all these ideas, I have all these fucking things that I'm judging and thinking of. Can I just observe what I'm thinking of? Can I observe this pressure? Can I observe the beauty? Can I observe the chaos? Can I just observe it and trust and know that I'm in my vehicle? Like I'm in my car and it's driving And literally, like, I don't stay up all night and tell my heart to beat. I don't stay up all night and like count every single breath and like I don't fall asleep because what if I miss a breath? Like, my vehicle is operating just fine without my mind telling me to like literally move every cell in my body to function properly. Like, I'm not needed to control every single aspect of my life. So, can I just observe what I'm here to observe and contribute those observations to the collective consciousness? And one of the most powerful centers in our body is our voice, is our throat, because it's where we externalize these internal things that we're observing and processing and feeling. It's where we share with others. It's where we condition others and where others condition us from. So, the more that you observe life and allow your body to be driven by using your strategy and authority, you're going to be conditioning and externalizing your awareness to other people in a way that is serving them, that is in harmony with their mechanics and their magnetism, with their magnetic monopole. So, things to really think about, I think, are how having awareness of your own awareness and observing your thoughts, and some tips we're going to get into for being a passenger consciousness, but also how you are externalizing, because that is how you are conditioning the world. And that is how you are contributing to the collective consciousness through the things that you create and say through your voice. That is what gives you your identity, is through using your voice and sharing through your voice. Because then through the things that you share and say, people can be conditioned by and then identify you as a leader or a guide or a friend or a teacher, um, or a lover. And so knowing that your voice is so sacred, it's so powerful, and it's guided by your awareness through observing life in this design vehicle that you chose, and trusting your magnetic monopole by your strategy and authority. I know that's like really complex, but that's it. Like, that's
Yeah.
it.
And I mean, everything that we're saying, this whole episode, I think really stems from the fact that we've given ourselves some time to not mentally be constantly on and figuring things out and mentally doing things and being a constant outer authority. And when you have that space, then you get to really be this passenger consciousness, observing things that come up and having awareness of your awareness. That's the goal with passenger consciousness. It's not, okay, I observed this thing and now I have to fix it. Now I have to do something about it. Now I have to figure my way out of it or change it or control it. It's, I've observed this thing and I observe it. I'm
Yeah.
aware of it. And that is so important. If we're not doing that and seeing that as productive, we are not going to get to the rest of the stuff that we are here to uniquely contribute to play our sacred role in changing the planet. Like, it has to start with us being comfortable creating this space to want to just observe and then sit with those observations and observe the observations. Like, that's something that like a
Yeah.
normal person, if they didn't hear human design to say be aware of your awareness or observe your observations, people are like, that's pointless. But is it? It's
Yeah.
absolutely what our mind is here to do. It's where our wisdom comes from. It's where our unique consciousness develops that then we get to share and externalize and change the world with. And if we
Yeah.
don't allow that process, if we fight it every step of the way, we try to keep our mind busy, climbing over the driver's seat, grabbing the wheel, it stops us from having our own true, unique form of perspective and awareness develop that then is going to change the world.
And I want to say that if you're listening to this and you're thinking like that's such a privilege to have space to observe your observations, or that must be nice. Yes, it is a privilege to have space to observe your observations, but you can do it in this moment right now. Literally, in any tiny, minute moment, you can be observing your observations and be aware of your own awareness. And if you felt that while you're listening, that's something that you want, and you want to have space, more space in your life. And when you feel that resentment, knowing that you're pushing it further from you and coming back to like, okay, that's something that I want. And I'm really glad that they have that because that's something that I want in my own life. So I just wanted to plant that seed. And then also utilizing what you have right now in your life and not feeling like it's something that's out of reach because it's all internal, like your personality crystal, your design crystal, your magnetic monopole, that's all within your own body, your own resources. And the trust and surrender that happens comes from you as well. And that's what I was going to say was that if you're hearing this of like being a passenger and that triggers you to feel like, well, you can't just like passenger through life, like nothing's going to happen then. Like if you can't just sit back and observe things because then you're going to end up going nowhere. That's coming from a place of fear and lack and also control. And your mind's not quite on board yet to be a passenger. So if you felt that, start experimenting with your strategy and authority even more because a lot of times we can hear our strategy and authority, we don't actually experiment with it. And we talk about it or we read about it, but we don't actually start implementing it. And that's the only way that you're going to really get your mind on board to then say, okay, I'm just going to observe my observations. I'm going to be the passenger because I trust that my strategy and authority, which is active, is taking active steps to do, is driving this car so my mind can just observe. So if you're feeling triggered by some of this of like, must be nice to just sit back and have life drive you, like, okay, really lean into your strategy and authority because it's always going to feel, depending on what turn you're taking in life, like, shit, I need to jump in and take the wheel because I'm scared I'm going to crash off a cliff if I don't. And okay, really come back to your strategy and authority. Observe those things, observe the fear, observe the desire to want to control and you're feeling unsafe if you don't. Where did that come from and why? And can you uncover those layers through your observation and awareness to bring you to deeper depths of surrender to really allow yourself to observe and be the passenger and let your magnetic monopole drive you with your strategy and authority.
Yes, I love it. I feel like this it's kind of a mystic layer of human design. I think it's like a much deeper layer than we normally talk about, but I think it's so important because these are the things that made me fall in love with human design. When I was first reading about it, it was this because astrology is something I always thought was interesting, but I was like, why? How? What are the mechanics? Where does it come from? And I
What's
wasn't
the
getting a lot of
point?
answers. What's the point? And how does it
Yeah.
work like energetically? Okay, it's energy, but how and why? And those questions were the things that made a disconnect for me from my own spirituality and from really like believing in astrology and these aspects of human design, understanding these mechanics and the sacred origin, but then the, mechanical just workings of how it actually works. This is what makes me fall in love with it. So I think that someday we'll do courses on this, kind of getting into deeper layers, because believe it or not, we're just scratching the surface with this right now.
Yeah, we
Um,
are. We're definitely going to do some like we're wanting to do a second human design training. Maybe it be a conference in person. We don't know. We're figuring out the details, but there's so much in human design and our first reader training is so in depth. It gives you everything that you need to read charts and everything. And we've taken a lot of trainings and like we wanted ours to be so thorough and in depth and deep dive so that way you feel really confident with the information that you're sharing and really understanding it. But then there's so much more to get into with like the role gates and the format energies and really understanding like the different godheads and like all of everything that we're talking about here with the crystals of consciousness and the different forms of every type of design, whether it's a brick or a, whatever, an animal or a plant or a human, and also how we sleep. Like there's just so much that we want to get into. We're gonna do a second one. I already know it. I just
As
don't
we're saying it,
know.
I'm like, yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, like we're gonna do a second training. But we just don't know the logistics yet of like when and where and how we're going to be presenting this and how many days this training's gonna be. But we just can't stop. Sexuality, oh my God, there's just so much. So if you haven't taken our first training, I just want to say it is amazing. Literally every single day, someone emails us like, holy shit, you guys didn't even say how much I would be getting from this. And like, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is the best thing. I needed this. This is exactly what I needed. And it's true. Like, we're not good at saying, like, we don't toot our own horn enough. So I'm like taking that feedback and sharing it with you here. Like, we hear it constantly. Like, wow, this is exactly so much more than I could have hoped for in this training. So you can check that out if you're wanting to do our first training before our second, which TBD on all the details, on daylunalife.com and learn all the things. Anyways, what are the tips to be in
So
your passenger consciousness for everyone listening here?
yeah. So with the goals of human design, right? We talk a lot about how self-love is a huge goal within human design. We talk a lot about how authenticity and alignment is a huge goal. Being a passenger consciousness is also a huge goal in human design. So we're excited to share these tips and just kind of keep them in mind. One thing is a tip is to see your life like watching a movie and to use that analogy, right? To sit back and grab the popcorn and watch the plot twist with joy, watch it unravel, and remember that your soul chose to come into this human lifetime where we don't know the future until it happens because it's fun, it's exciting, and just kind of giving yourself that analogy or even that quick mental visualization of your passenger consciousness being in a movie theater and being like, ooh, I can't wait to see what happens next. It adds that joy to it instead of the fear of the unknown. Like, I don't know what's going to happen and I'm afraid of what my movie is going to be. It's instead like sit back, grab the popcorn, see that visualization, and instantly that helps me just get into that passenger role and start to see life like a fun, surprising thing instead of the unknown being scary.
Yes, I
Okay,
love that.
the next tip is build a connection with trust. So that's what I was talking about in the beginning of this. This is something that helps me so much. The more you can build a connection with trust for life or for God or for the universe or for your soul or your higher self or your spirit team, whatever it is that resonates with you. For me, I resonate with all of those things and I connect with all of them differently. Spirit guides is something I want to talk more about on this podcast because it's just something that feels really supportive for me because all of those presences, like those higher omnipresent, higher knowings, parts of you that are connected to you, are all supporting you and know your life path and are all, there's a portal in your G center that's connecting you to those higher planes, to those higher support systems, and to that love and wisdom. And the more that you can connect with those beings, whatever it is that you believe in, I think it gets easier to trust your magnetic monopole. It gets easier to trust your strategy and authority. It gets easier to trust your purpose and your place in life when you have a being or an energy that you love and that you feel that support from. It gets easier to let go and to trust.
Yes. And then the next tip would be to stop labeling things as good or bad. Instead, say, that's interesting. Get curious and observe, but don't judge your surroundings because your mind can't see the whole picture. So the more that you can say, that's an interesting feeling that I'm having, but not that's a bad feeling or that person is good or bad. Um, I'm good or bad. I'm bad at, whatever. But instead just saying interesting. That was challenging for me to experience. Interesting. The more that you can observe it like you're watching a movie, because you don't know the end of the movie when you're watching it. And you're not like, this is a bad movie until it's over and it sucked, right? I'm just kidding. Until it's over. And then the plot. So it's like observing those things without the labels makes it a lot easier to be in that passenger seat versus trying to say, like, that was bad. We need to turn around or I need to jump into the front seat and grab the wheel and tell us where we're going to go, but say, okay, interesting. I observed that. I didn't like it, but it's, why didn't I like it? What's it triggering for me? Interesting. That
Yeah.
really can lead you into a place of actively growing and shifting and using your awareness to help you attune to your alignment, like, or I should say, using your awareness to help you grow and unearth and have discoveries, but not jumping into the front seat to shift where your car's going.
Yeah, I think this is like akin to that phrase, the more you know, the less you know. Or like the wiser you get, the more willing you're able to be like, I don't know, I have no idea. And that's where
Yeah.
this is what we're talking about. Your mind is like, okay, that happened, but I don't need to automatically know what it means or what it is or label it or judge it or confine it. Instead, this happens and my mind can say, I have a million questions. How interesting this is to observe. And being open to that question, being curious is just such a healthy, playful place for your mind to be that really helps that passenger
Yeah. And
consciousness
that doesn't mean
get
that you
into
never
place.
take action, because your strategy and authority, you might have sacral authority and you're like, ooh, interesting. And then your body tells you that sacral gut, hell yes or hell no. And you take action immediately. It's just knowing that that's the driver, not
Right.
your mind saying that was bad. Let me never do that again. It's your body leading you, if that makes
Yes.
sense. Because I can definitely feel people listening to this feeling like, well, then you never do anything. You're just like, interesting, interesting, interesting. You never make any decisions. It's like, no, you're still using your strategy and authority, but your mind isn't labeling things so much because it is the passenger and it's learning and observing and processing along the way.
Because remember, your mind is not here to make your important life decisions, but your authority is. And your authority is here to be decisive, right? And to trust yourself and to take action. And that aligns you to your magnetism being able to guide you and your magnetic monopole. Okay. And the last tip is remember that your mind is sacred, right? Because I think when we get into this, spiritual field and what's like all about the body and the intuition and our wisdom, we can sometimes feel like, oh, this stupid mind, this stupid monkey mind of me, like if I just could get rid of my mind and like chop it off of my body, then my personality crystal, then I would just be so much happier. But it's like your mind is sacred. Right. And it is here to be an outer authority and to contribute your unique perspective, your unique ideas and consciousness into the whole. So, seeing your mind as a sacred part of you and praising your mind, loving the way that you observe, the way that you think, the way that you see things, your perspective and your motivation, and knowing that your mind stems from this one absolutely sacred, awe inspiring consciousness. I think that that is so important. And to embrace our mind, but to just allow it to be in its correct place, which is the
Yeah.
passenger and not the driver of your vehicle or the decision maker in your life.
Yeah. You're not here to be a car without a passenger,
Yeah,
right?
boring.
We say that, but there's like a brick here that's like is a car without a passenger. But like you're not here to be a car without a passenger. Like you are here to have a passenger that's going to a destination. And without that, it's like what's the point for you? What's the point for you? So really seeing like, okay, my vehicle is driving my passenger somewhere and like, wow, they get to see some fucking epic sights. Like they get to see some views that are incredible and the wisdom that they're going to pick up along the way. Like, holy shit, that's amazing. And they don't even have to think about driving the car because that's how privileged they are. They just get to be in the back and like fucking eat their caviar and look out the window.
Which is so funny because Jared's been calling me a passenger princess a lot this summer. Like almost every day. And also he calls our dog that too. Like, must be nice to be the passenger princess, like just putting your feet up and like, and I'm claiming that right now. I'm like, do I need to make t-shirts that say that? Because
Passenger princess.
like
Yes.
passenger princess consciousness,
Yes. Yeah.
enjoy
Yes.
the
I
ride. Enjoy the
enjoy the
ride.
ride.
That's
Enjoy
what
the
we're here
ride.
to do. And along the way, we do collect so much wisdom. We have so much to share. So
But we've
I know
been
that
told a million times enjoy the ride. It's like, okay, cool. But like how? And
how
this is how. This is
this is
how.
how.
All the things that we just shared. We love you all. And if you want to hang out with us monthly and you want to dive into these deeper things in human design, we would love to see you in your Human Design Besties, which is our monthly membership. And there's so much content on there already for you to dive in and learn deeper layers of human design and about yourself. Also, something that's brand new for our besties that we just launched this month is weekly transit emails that tell you what the transits are in human design, how it can be impacting your chart, and how you can work with them. Because with our personality and design crystals, those are the things that are consistent for us. Our gifts, our ways of seeing and navigating the world, those are consistent. We also have conditioning from our friends and family and people in our life, other cars on the road with us. And then we have conditioning from the cosmic energy, the transits around us. And so temporarily right now, I have conditioning that's giving me a defined mind and also some emotional waves. And knowing that about myself really helps me to understand, okay, this week I'm going to be feeling heightened emotionally, or this week I'm going to be feeling really having strong opinions or a lot of mental pressure. And knowing that gives me this support in not being swayed by it, but instead feeling supported by it. So we have our weekly transit emails that are so helpful, and it just lets you know what's going on. And that's just for our human design besties. So take a look at that. If you want to join us, we would love to have you there. And we meet every month and we decondition and we do ceremonies, we do live Q&As, all the things. You want to know everything that we do, it's on the page on daylunalife.com. Also, we just introduced there, our energetic housekeeping, which every month we have energy practices for you to kind of just stay on top of your alignment, because we know that you're busy. We know that you have things going on. And this is kind of like your membership that keeps you tuned energetically to your purpose, despite the busyness and things that are going on in your life. It's kind of like your hygiene, your energetic hygiene, that we've got your back, we're helping you, and we are there right along with you as other cars on this road that are trying to help condition you in a way that you're meant to, for your highest alignment and growth, to get where you're meant to go in this life. So we love you all. We are excited to see you, whether we're seeing you in Kiss Goodbye Your 9 to 5 or with our besties or in our training, whether we're just connecting here in this cosmic space. We fucking love you. We love life. We love that we're on this stick together. And God, we're like, I'm ready for that juicy flower. I'm ready to nuzzle in there and get all fucking covered in pollen. That's how I'm feeling.
Same. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to this mystical and deep and really honest episode. We love you so much, and we can't wait to connect till next time.